Hey y'all, let's get into the last part of this reunion, and then I'm so glad I'm gonna be done with this city.
Work, work, work. To me, I get work, 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 work. See me do me dirt, 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 dirt. So me for that work, 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 work. When you walk a line, 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 line. In the girl, them hurt, 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 hurt. Try me, I deserve it. Not that they be lurking. Yeah. You make a like, now you don't like it. You know I dealt with you the nicest. Nobody touched me in the right. Nobody text me in a crisis. I believe that all of your dreams are duration. You took my heart, all my keys, and my patience. You took my heart, I'ma leave a decoration. You mistaken me love, I brought for you for foundation. All that I wanted from you was to give me something that I never had, something that you never seen, something that you never been. But I wake up and nothing's wrong. Just get ready for work, 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 work. To me, I be work, work, work.
Hey y'all, it's Mocha Mima. Welcome to my channel. If it's your first time here, extra special welcome. Oh y'all, I'm eating my lunch. If you've been here before, thanks for coming back. Make sure y'all hit that bell button for so that you get the uploads. I'm trying to type and talk. Make sure the bell button turns black. That way you'll get all of my uploads. Y'all, I'm so tired of this show. I'm glad it is over and done with. So, we are on the second part of that first sight reunion. Y'all, so we go back to the reunion. Shaq and Kirsten. And remember they left off in that cliffhanger. So we had to decide what they were talking about. Shaq admits he made a mistake about the marriage. And that was the thing. Once you say no, everything is all done. When you have a question in your mind, especially when it comes to that, especially the fact that Kristen went first and was willing to stay in the marriage, he went second and he said no, he's a butthole. Okay. So he should have just said yes, and then they could have waited another whatever how many weeks to see how things worked out. But what we found out in it later in the episode, and I might talk some other stuff that we go on later, when she was talking to when she was talking to the experts, whatever, or when she was talking to his mother and her mother end up coming out. But what happened was she didn't want people to see her out, and they asked her, who Shaq was, and she's like, "Oh, this is my husband." And then 2 months down the line, if things didn't work out, she'd have to tell people, "Well, we're getting a divorce." Like I could understand her thinking in that. I really could. And then, like other couples, it comes to like communication issues, and that's what with a lot of people in most relationships. It doesn't matter how old you are. It's communication issues. It's me understanding something one way and you understanding something another way. It's about perception. And he was all his head thinking he wasn't good enough for her. He wanted to spend time with her family. He felt that they didn't want to spend time with him. That wasn't true. um it was just a lot with him and her. And the mothers are supportive, but I know her mother is like, if you don't want to stay with this guy, I'm fine with it. Um, so they went through that whole segment. They were backstage, and Kirsten told him not to feel pressured about trying to get it back because Kevin is all over him about getting back together and this and that and the third. So they hugged and they're going out to have dinner. Next was Dom and Mac, which got on my nerves. They had chemistry at the beginning because you remember them all in the pool and all that kind of stuff, and it looked pretty good, them together. But then what happened was Mac felt that Dom was overwhelmed by his personality, which I mean, I don't understand why his personality wasn't that big. But remember when Dom went to the brunch, took his mother had mentioned her that he may want to come back to Michigan, and that played a big part in her thinking. And I know a lot of people call him a Dusty and say that he had no said this and that other. Listen, I'm not going to assume anything about him because you know what? I don't care all that much. And it's too much to try to figure out, oh, was he there temporarily? Oh, was he an actor? Oh, this and that and the third. The bottom line was this: the man was living there. He went on the show to get married. If he got married, he knew the process. They were going to live in an apartment together for 2 months. If things worked out, they would end up getting another apartment. I don't understand the issue them with him living there in the friend's basement or whoever it was in that basement bedroom. I don't understand the big deal about that. So what? That's my feeling to it. Was so what? He's living down there. Then he gets married. They go and move in an apartment. If they're going to stay together, then they can get a bigger apartment together, and then they live happily ever after. The thing about him living in Nashville, it's very far fetched to think that he's going to come on Married at First Sight with the intention of meeting someone to get married to have them move back to Michigan. To me, that makes no sense at all. I think if he was going to get married to someone in Nashville, that's where they were going to stay, unless the two of them decided they want to move somewhere else. It's not that big of a deal. But I also think he came there and he likes the camera. That I think he definitely liked the camera. And he was saying that when they started to go through their problems, and that Mac and that Dom was overthinking everybody. When he had said to her that he checked out, she thought he meant checked out of the marriage. No, he meant checked out of that argument, because she was just going too far. She wanted him to chase her. He's not that dude. If you want someone to chase you and you want to be so specific about stuff, why are you on Married at First Sight? Like, these people freaking kill me with that mess. Like, she was absolutely different. She wants someone to say, get your butt in the room and you're going to stay and we're going to work it out. No, because then she'd be crying saying, oh, he was abusive and this, that, and the other. Miss me on that. Um, they showed some never seen footage where they had gone out to dinner and his family unfollowed her because he told them to. She called him petty and she kept going, petty Betty, petty Betty. Dom, you're a child. He said, you divorced me. So, I mean, it is what it is. Neither of them had given each other the benefit of the doubt. It started off okay, but she's still a child. She still acts like a kid. He still has some player vibes and everything else. So know what? They're not together, and that's what it is. Then they bring out Gina and Mac to talk to Kevin, and Kevin's talking to them, and they admit that Mac has slid into her DMs at some point, and about something that's supposed to be innocuous, but I think they tried to cover it up, but I could read between the lines. They were going back and forth and whatnot, and they had attraction for each other. And Gina liked the things that he was saying, and all that in the third. And what ended up happening was she was no longer attracted to, or she was no longer willing to even try anything with Clint because she was attracted to Mac. And they showed the scene where Mac had told Clint that he didn't understand why he didn't wasn't interested or attracted really to Gina, because he thought Gina was sexy. Gina was eating it up. Gina is so thirsty. She's in the position where someone could come and take advantage of her real quick, because how she was just making the face moves and everything else. And Mac was saying all those things that she likes to hear. Listen, Mac, we find out, I think it looked like in the previews for the next episode where they do the where are they now, that she's gonna say like, why haven't you called me or whatever, because Gina, he was playing to the freaking cameras and you're stupid. He was playing to the cameras, and you have an overinflated sense of who you think you are, and you're not all that. So you're right for some man to play you. So anyway, next segment, Kevin's talking to the men. They're saying they're family, they're like brothers, blah blah blah. They had locker room talk about how the single ones went out and got it in afterwards. Some of them, that was Eris and Clint, um, talked about it. Eris had made this comment before he got married about breaking her back and whatnot, which was nasty and crude, and ended up, there was no sex during their marriage. Um, Clint, him and Gina did nothing, and then they went to the thing about Kirsten asking Shaq to buy a house, and they were talking about that whole thing, and Shaq overthought that, of course. Like, you've only been married like a month or so. The whole house thing is, it's not even worth it to talk about. She was kind of joking, but not really. And him, he just fed into it and ignored it because he was just it was just too much. It's just them overthinking and just a lot of immaturity going on. And then they talked about women sliding in their DMs or saying stuff to them and approaching them, and Max saying somebody wants to drink his bathwater. Some desperate pick me, most likely. Then the experts came out. Um, Dr. Pia, I loved the dress she had on. And one thing, Dr. Pia, Pastor Cal and Dr. Pepper are your elders. Even though you are all on this show, they are your elders. Please call them by appropriate titles. You could call her Dr. Pepper or Miss Pepper, Pastor Cal. Don't call them Cal and Pepper. That was, to me, that was so disrespectful. They're old enough to be grown. But anyway, they talked about how the season went. They talked about how people are not committed, and whatnot, and how people, like, marriages work and that people are not willing to do the work. Um, they talked about how Dom did things out of fear, um, and they talked to her and what's his name, Mac, and they talked about how she did things out of fear and how you have to try to make things work. In retrospect, she's crying, she sees what she did wrong, and this is in any relationship. If you want the relationship to work, you have to be flexible, you have to compromise, and there's no perfect person, and you're not perfect. So people need to stop with all this stuff. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it was the biggest of everybody on the show. She was the one that was, like, she didn't give it a chance. It was what, they were a week in and she was ready to just give up. That's something that a 25-year-old would do. Like, really, a 25-year-old of now would do. Just be ready to give up instead of giving it a chance. At one point, oh, I wish I would have gone to the retreat. Yeah, you would have, but you were ready to get divorced instead of trying to wait and see how things went. So then next is the experts were Shaq and Kirsten, who they were baffled about because everything with them should have worked. Shaq said there's a possibly for more, but Kirsten says she's scared, and they told him she's hurt. He embarrassed her on national television, so of course she's freaking hurt, Shaq. And he has to man up. That's the bottom line. He effed up. He has to man up. He apologized to her, but he needs to really show her. But if I was Kirsten, I wouldn't go back to him for what? To be embarrassed again? Because she doesn't want to do this or she doesn't want to do that, or he's feeling she's not being supportive enough. And then the rug is pulled from underneath her again. So she needs to move on. She's had some exposure. Some other men have now seen her. She's a pretty girl. She really looked pretty on the show. So she'll meet somebody else. She needs to move on. So then after that, they bring all the couples on. They talk a lot about stuff that happened. They talked about Nicole being so nosy. Chris and Nicole were the first to consummate their marriage. about how Kirsten held out and didn't tell anybody that they had consummated their marriage until Shaq had let them know. Um, they're all pushing for Shaq and Kirsten to get back together. Um, Eris and Jasmine did this crazy thing where they were like imitating people and whatnot. Clint still is in love with Hank, and he misses Hank, and he's probably going to end up getting a big dog like Hank. But that was pretty much it. They had the whole thing was filler. They could have really done the what do you call it, the reunion in 2 hours. It was a whole bunch of filler stuff that didn't make any sense. I'm really hoping that Denver is better than this, because if it is not, that will be my last season watching it. Because these people here, it was a whole lot of crap. Um, it's like you can't tell me you're ready for marriage and then to a absolute stranger, then you get in there. And I can understand about not being attracted to someone, but the thing is, you have to go in thinking that you're not going to be attracted, and then you go and you try to get a friendship going and get some type of relationship going to see what's going to happen. So I was like, you got to be freaking kidding me. So y'all, let's see what I got going. Oh, I wanted to show y'all a video. I mean, let me see. I'm not a video. Video. I wanted to show you a picture, you guys. If I'm able to pull, let me see. If I'm able, no. Let me think. No, I'm not able to pull a video. But what I had wanted to show you was, let me tell you, I love some Mexican food, right? So I'm always going to Chipotle all the time, ordering out from Chipotle and everything. It gets expensive, and a lot of times, I'll go there if I'm in the area, but usually what I deliver. So I said this week, I'm tired of going there. Like I usually get now the steak burrito. I love the steak burrito, so I usually will get that. And so I usually will get the steak burrito and not the steak burrito, the steak. Oh, here it goes. I usually will get the steak quesadilla. And in order for it to be worth it with the delivery, I usually will order two, so that way I'll have one for whatever meal I'm eating, and I usually have some left over that I'll eat later on, and then I'll have one for the next day for my lunch or whatever. So this week I decided, I said I'm going to save some money. I went out and I bought some steak. The steak ended up being like 30 freaking dollars, and I bought cheese, and I always have onions and peppers and rice. I bought some cilantro. I bought some black beans, some limes. And you know what I did? I cut that steak up, put my seasonings on it, because I have all the seasonings you ever want here in my house. And I ended up seasoning up that steak. Once I cut the steak up and cooked it, the steak was in like a big, nice size, um, one of those Rubbermaid reusable bowls full of steak. I made another bowl the same size full of cilantro lime rice. I made those beans, sauteed those beans with onions, peppers, and garlic. I made some Mexican corn because I already had corn in my freezer. Made Mexican corn with chipotle powder and cumin and chili powder and all that kind of stuff. So I had quesadillas part of the week. And I made this on Tuesday. It's still Saturday. I'm eating off of it. I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday. Might have been Wednesday when I did this. Y'all, when I tell you, because I love Mexican food. I love Chipotle. I could eat the rice, the beans, that stuff. I could eat that every day. Y'all, I spent what I spent at the store. I think I spent like $60, and I had ended up buying some ground beef, which was unrelated because I wanted to make chili for my grandkids. But I think altogether, I think I spent like $70 maybe, and the I ate off of this stuff. I ate, my daughter ate, my granddaughter ate. She was out of town in Atlanta. She got back last night. She had some today. We've been eating off this all week. Do you know how much money I would have spent? So I wanted to show you. Let me remove this. Let me see if it will come up. I'm going to remove myself from the feed. I made that myself. I made it. Because you all listen, it's time is too. I'll leave it in the background. And that's what I had today for lunch. I just put the cilantro lime rice down, put a layer of beans, a layer of corn, a layer of the steak. The steak has the onions and peppers in it. The beans have the onions and peppers. Let that heat up. Then put the cheese. Let that cheese melt over it. And let me tell you, it was so good. Oh my God. Like, I've had a dish like this similar at Mexican restaurants where it was this same size. Matter of fact, it was less than this in the dish. That was like $20 I paid for it. So listen, we got to start making our own stuff at home. Like I said, like these things are staples I keep in my house. I always keep canned beans in my house. I always have red beans to make chili, and I usually will keep black beans in my house as well. And I always have onions, garlic, all that stuff. Usually buy the frozen peppers and onions from BJ's. So y'all listen, do for yourself, and do what you got to do to save money. It's worth it. It is so worth it. So y'all, I'm gonna get ready to leave you with that. Make sure you like and subscribe. Click on the bell buttons, and I'm gonna give you my parting message before I get out of here.
Say it with me, kids. If protecting my peace makes me the villain, then bitch, my name is Thanos.
Always remember, protect your peace at all costs, and also no is a complete sentence. Remember that. So with that, y'all, I'm going to get out of here. You have a good rest of your Saturday, and I will see you in the next one. Remember, tomorrow at 2:00 is my live recap for Love and Marriage Detroit, and then the next one, I will probably come back with with another video or a live or so before Hot Topics on Thursday. So I will see you guys tomorrow afternoon. Peace and have a good one.
Work, work, work. To me, I can work, 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 work. See me do me dirt, 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 dirt. So me for that work, 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 work. When you walk a line, in the girl, them hurt, dirt, 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 dirt. Try me, I deserve it. Let that devil lurking. Yeah. You make a like, now you don't like it. You know I dealt with you the nicest. Nobody touched me in the right. Nobody touched me in a crisis. I believe that all of your dreams are duration. You took my heart.